Just to Here it says, the personality of Godhead Kapila continued, my dear mother. Now I shall describe unto you the different categories of absolute truth, knowing which any person can be released from the influence of modes of mental nature. So, this is the important point that if you want to be free from the influence of modes of mental nature, we need to understand the different aspects of absolute truth. That is the first lesson. And we discussed that absolute truth is based on different conditions. The understanding is meant for people who are different conditionings. So, different conditionings, different understandings. We cannot say this is right or wrong. It is based on what is his level of conditionings now. So, that's main criteria for understanding. And knowledge is the ultimate perfection of self realization. I shall explain that knowledge unto you by which the knots of attachment to metal world are cut. This is what is important. The knowledge is very important for us. And then the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a super soul and he has no beginning. He is transcendental to the metal modes of metal nature and beyond the existence of this metal world. He is perceivable everywhere because he is self effulgent, and by his self effulgent lustre, the entire creation is maintained. As his pastime, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatest of great, accepted the subtle material energy which is invested with three material modes of nature and which is related with Vishnu. Why Vishnu? Because it is Chitta. All the three Mahavishnus, Garbhodaksha, Ikshiradaksha, and all these Vishnus, they are Purusha avatars here. They are controlling it. Second is the important point is that Lord is not affected by it. He's beyond it, even though he's accepting it. And then divided into varieties of threefold modes, material nature creates the form of living entities, and the living entities seeing this are illusioned by knowledge, covering feature of illusory energy. We are bewildered, but Lord is not bewildered. And then Lord says, because of his forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of mental energy as his field of activity. And that's acuted, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. This is an important point. Because of his forgetfulness. Bhayam dvitiyad abhiniveshatasya ishadapetasya vipareyosmitihi. What happens is, as soon as we forget ourselves, we start identifying ourselves as something and we get influenced by it. That is the important. The transcendental living entity accept the influence of metal energy as its field of activity. And this is actually what is happening to all of us. We identify ourselves and we uh, we start acting in that way. If we forget, say now I am thinking, okay, I am Prime Minister of India, and I am forgetful of my position, and I am identifying myself as something which I am not. And then the transcendental will accept the influence of metal energy as a field of activity. The important thing, a problem here is we start accepting the material energy as the field of activity. So this is the main problem. All our activities are done here only. Now we are very serious about our family, our life, our this thing, or that thing. As such, this is nothing, not very important, but we are very serious about it. Proji, I have my responsibilities. I have my things to do, this to do. But it is all because of forgetfulness only. As such, we don't have any responsibility in this material world. We have only one responsibility, that is practicing Krishna consciousness. That is eternal responsibility of Savai Pumsam Parodharmo Eto Bhakti Radokshije. That is the highest. Parodharma is only that. Because we are forgetful, that's why we have all these things. And he wrongly applies the activities to himself. Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvasha Ahankara Vimudhatma Karta Hamiti Manyate. So he wrongly identifies and he acts like that. Then material consciousness is the cause of one's conditional life, in which conditions are enforced upon the living entity by material energy. Although the spirit soul does not do anything and is transcendental to such activities, he is thus affected by conditioned life. This is another. Although the spirit soul does not do anything, is transcendental, but because of material consciousness, is the cause of one's conditional life. This is wrong identification is the cause of conditional life. Otherwise, the living entity as such, the spirit soul is does not do anything and is transcendental. That means we cannot. The soul is always pure. We should not commit offenses. This is the reason. What we do, what we see people is we only see their external coverings. Oh, this person is behaving like this devotee is like this devotee is like that. No, it is all because of the material nature and its conditionings. As such, the spirit soul nothing to do. All the souls, even the soul of Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Hitler, or any of these jihadis, or any of these demons, all their souls are pure only. They are all same. But the wrong identification is the cause of their suffering. That's why when Lord comes, He is delivering them. You think, oh, it's so sinful, Lord delivered, because He does not see the external covering. Lord sees the internal. Like we give the example of a mother. No, when the child, she comes with all dirt, and the child is playing in the mud and completely became dirty. No, mother will not say, oh, dirty, dirty. No, she don't live. She knows. She brings the child, puts under a tap and open the tap and under a shower, and completely the child is cleansed. So similarly, we are accumulated with dirt. As such, we are very pure. Because of the dirt, externally all these things are there. But for Lord, na, He is a mother. So He knows if you clean, He is pure only. So this is the state. The soul is always pure, no matter whatever activities externally are happening. It is because of wrong identification and material consciousness is a cause of conditioned life. That is the point. This is the important understanding we should have that we are uh, so the cause of conditions was material body and senses, and the senses presiding deities, the demigods, is the material nature. Um, Actually, I posted a wrong link in the group. Just I'm just that's 1 minute. Many actually are not able to join. I posted a wrong link in the group. Just a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. Actually, I made a mistake. I posted the previous link. We should. This is in the link. Now it is 1609, old one, and new one is 1608. So I was thinking why devotees are not able to connect. I'm sorry. So what I was telling is, I'll just repeat 2 minutes what we have discussed till now. What happened is Lord Kapila, he tells Mother Devoti, see, I am going to tell you this understanding of absolute truth in different levels of understanding absolute truth. Okay, I'll write all the summary of all the slokas here in the 10th one so that we'll get the first thing. First is that I'm going to tell you different understandings of absolute truth. So this is the first shloka. So we understood, and understanding of absolute truth on different levels is proportionate to our conditionings. So like a person is in a different level of conditioning, for him absolute truth is different. For a small child, absolute truth is eating food and sleeping and playing around. That much only understand, because that is the level of consciousness. So our understanding of absolute truth is like that. And then Lord tells that by knowing this also we'll be in the second verse, Lord is telling, by knowing this you'll be free from the influence of the modes. So you'll be free from the attachments to the material world are cut. Knowledge is the ultimate perfection of self-realization. He says, I'm going to give you knowledge, which is the perfection of self-realization. That is the point. So we need what? Knowledge to cut the material knots. So this is the, and now third onwards, he starts explaining what is that knowledge. Now he just glorified it. Then he's telling the third one, he says that what is the important thing? Uh, the Lord is described as the soul or spirit. What is the definition of the, sorry, yeah, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no beginning, no end, is transcendental. So he started explaining about the Supreme Lord first. And the fourth one, he says, his pastimes and his greatness, which are subtle energy, and he accepts. So, third and fourth, he tells how the Supreme Lord is third and fourth. He's telling how the Supreme Lord is transcendental and he accepts what? Uh, three modes. Means he's not affected by it, right? And now fifth, sixth, seventh, they are very important. What Lord is telling in the fifth one, he says that dividing into varieties of threefold modes, material nature creates the form of living entity, and living entity sees this are illusioned by knowledge, covering features of illusory energy. So now, okay, that is about the Supreme Lord. So what about the living entity? Living entity, first thing is he is getting bodies. So what these three modes are doing for bodies, this is the fifth shloka, bodies are given. Now problem starts from sixth. Fifth is okay. Okay, you are given the body. But what happens after a living entity receives the body? Lord says, because of his forgetfulness. So you start, then the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material nature. Of course, in the fifth, it is explained he is covered by ignorance also. Here Kapila says that the living entity covering feature of illusory energy, illusioned by the knowledge. That is ignorance only in one way. And then because of which here important thing is the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material nature as its field of activity. Here we are all in problem because we forgetful. Very, very important thing is if we want to come out of it, we always have to remember Krishna. That's all. Very simple formula, but very difficult. Why Krishna is telling Manmana, Manmana, you try to remember me. If you see, first shloka of Bhagavatam, it says, uh, even Gayatri Mantra also, Dhimahi means meditate. Again, if we are forgetfulness is the cause of our problem, the solution for the problem is remember. Such a simple formula. You are forgetful, now you remember. That's the thing to be done. We are, we are, we done a mistake. Now you have to rectify the mistake. What is the mistake? We forgetful. Of whom? The Supreme Lord. Now what is the solution? Again, remember Him. Whole day we have to chant, whole day we have to hear, whole day we have to remember, whole day we have to serve. That's the only thing is the solution for us. Such a simple formula. What is happening now? If we want to enjoy, we have to forget Krishna. There is no option. If I want to enjoy in this world, I have to forget only. That means I have to oversee or neglect him. That is an offense. That's why we are caught. Now we close the curtain and we eat. Because in front of Lord we cannot enjoy. We want to enjoy means Lord should not see. That is the formula. Whole day, any time we want to enjoy, any aspect we are enjoying, that time we purposefully we neglect. Per devotees, but outsiders anyway they always forget only. The devotees, I want to enjoy, I have to forget only. People say, Prabhuji, no, I will offer everything to Krishna. Everything to Krishna is easy. Can you remember Krishna every time? That is difficult. Prabhuji, whatever I do now, I can offer everything to Krishna. I can offer 1 crore, 2 crore. I know. Whatever, I am very detached from property. I am detached from family. I am detached from. Okay, wait a minute. You can be detached. Can you remember Krishna? That is not. I will, when I am enjoying my name and fame, when I am enjoying certain things, I have to forget Krishna only. Otherwise, why we say all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to assemble Vaishnavas, all glories, because it is not my glory. That forgetfulness is the cause. Any time we are caught up means it is proportionate to how much we are forgetful of Krishna. That is the reason we say, Prabhuji, so many problems are coming. Yeah, you can remember Krishna, no problem will be there. We will, what Krishna is telling, if you remember 12th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna does Krishna does not, he explains very, very meticulously, very detailed way about jnana, karma and yoga, but bhakti does not explain so detailed. He just tell, okay, this person who is like this is very dear to me, this person. And he says that he will, nobody is in trouble with him and he does not feel any trouble from anyone. Why? Because not affected. He does not forget Krishna. Prabhupada says the last words when he is leaving this world is, if only we can see Krishna everywhere, in moving, non-moving, everywhere we can see Krishna, accept him, the offenses is because we neglect him. We just have to again remember him all the time. Whole day, this is the Krishna conscious. We have to be conscious. If I am conscious of Krishna, I cannot enjoy in this world. Then I will only serve. Forgetful living entity can be compared to man who is under the influence of disease and has become mad or to be haunted by ghost. This is the problem. Now, when we forget, we are neglecting. And that is how we enjoy here. Otherwise, there is no way we can enjoy. We are given and we start identifying with bodies. We are forgetful. That means this is the cause of our disease. We are very badly affected by it. After knowing only, we do many things. Outside people, anyway, but we know it. Okay, I should not forget Krishna. And I am opening my mobile and watching certain things. It is not pleasing Krishna. Why I am doing which is not pleasing Krishna? Because I want to enjoy. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. I need to do what pleases Krishna, but I don't want to do all the time. Because what I am telling now, bhakti, externally it is very simple, internally very difficult. Externally compared to other processes, bhakti is the most simple. Just have to do some simple things. Why internal difficult? Na? Every time we have to surrender. Every time we have to say Krishna, okay, Krishna, I will do what is pleasing you, which is not possible all the time, which is the most difficult thing. How? Because if I am conscious of Krishna every time, I have to do what is pleasing. I don't want to do. I want to. Many of the definition, not yours. I am telling my definition. My definition of bhakti is Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhanavritam Anukuljena Mana Anusilanam, not Krishna Anusilanam. Whatever pleases mind, I will do it, not what pleases Krishna. So that is where the problem comes. We all have to uh, fight with our mind and senses to overcome these difficulties. And then seventh is because we forget, we wrongly identify something. So that is material identification. And although the spirit soul does not do anything, we are so a complete illusion. We don't do anything, still we are affected. And Krishna also tells, the, Prakriti is doing, but living entities have to. Uh, both Sukha Dukkhana is for the living entity. And then eighth says the cause of conditions of material body and senses and sense. I said in details the demigods is the material nature. This is understood by learned men. The feeling of happiness and distress of soul was transcendental or caused by the spirit soul himself. That's all. Bhoktatve heturuchyate. And so here 67th is seventh is wrong identification, living entities unaffected, and eighth is uh, distress and happiness is by the living entity. So these are the seven. This is the diagnose by the Supreme Lord. He says that we are forgetful, then because of which we are conditioned. As such, conditioned consciousness, and because of which we are, even though the spirit soul is pure, it is affected by happiness and distress. So again, Devati asks a question in the ninth one that kindly explain the character of Supreme Person and his energies, for both of these are cause of this manifestation and creation. So this is what is the problem and solution which is diagnosed by Lord Kapila. This is very clear. I want to come out of it, start remembering Krishna. Very simple. I have to meditate and see that how will I remember Krishna all the time. We have to be with people who are remembering Krishna all the time. We have to make an endeavor to remember Krishna every day. It is in our hand. We cannot blame anyone for our suffering. That's the reason. Because it is very clearly told, Are, you are forgetful, that's why you are suffering. That's all. If we are so much into the responsibilities of this life, responsibility of this, but we are forgetful of one more important responsibility that is responsible for the soul, that is the highest dharma we need to do. Prabhuji, what about my family responsibility? This responsibility, all the responsibilities are there. That is for your conditioned nature only. The main responsibility is for the soul, which is forgetful of Krishna. And what are you doing for that responsibility? Roji, so much is there. I know this is all. This is all is actually happening to living entities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said the unmanifested eternal condition, a combination of three modes of, is the cause of the manifested state and is called pradhana, and it is called prakriti when it is manifested stage of existence. So first is pradhana, is also called prakriti and pradhana. They both are same only. Now from here onwards, Lord starts explaining how systematically the creation happens. Now here, what we need to understand, the more subtler, the more vibrant it is, and more it becomes gross, the vibration reduces. The subtler the more vibrant. More gross, more dull. The earth is dull. Water is little more vibrant. It flows. Fire, much more. Goes up only. Air is everywhere. And ether like that. So more subtler, more dynamic, and uh, more energy also. And we are more gross. That's why now what we have to become, we have to become more subtler. So the creation comes from subtle to gross. This now, why scientists have problem with this is because they calculate wrongly. They start from matter, but we start from subtle things. We say from subtle comes gross. They say gross comes subtle. So this is the formula where they miss. They start from 0 1 0 1. We start 1 0 1 0. So here the formula breaks for them. And we see that Lord points out material nature is in its subtle stage, which is called pradhana. So, from where it is starting? It is starting from the subtle stage. And he analyzes this pradhana. The explanation of pradhana and prakriti is that pradhana is subtle, undifferentiated sum total of all material elements. And this is actually comes from chit potency. This pradhana comes from which is much more subtler and which is much more vibrant, which is much more subtler and which is much more vibrant. This is where is spiritual world and controlled by Balarama. And it is manifesting as Pradhana. And then Pradhana is also undifferentiated sum total of all material elements. Although they are undifferentiated, one can understand that the total material elements are contained therein. All the elements are there. Everything is settled. Like say we are when the total material elements are manifested, like water vapor. From water vapor we can get water, and from water we can get ice also. The same thing is much more grosser and subtler. Water vapor, water and ice. It is like when the so in water vapor there is water also, there is ice also, right? If you take water vapor, there is water also, there is ice also. Similarly, even though this is subtle material energy, you are understanding this example. Like from subtle, there is gross water vapor, water, ice. Now in water vapor, all three are there. Water is there, it can be water is there, and ice is also there. That means it is subtle. So you have all the three things. Remembering directly Krishna, remember Acharyas are both. Uh, yeah, same only. It is same. We have to do to please somebody. That is the main point. We have to, in bhakti, is a person. I need to always please somebody. If you are always working on pleasing somebody, you are performing bhakti. And he should be a spiritual person, guru or acharya, Krishna, devotees. That means I am not going with my mind. I am consciously doing which is pleasing somebody. That is the process of bhakti. There's a question in chat box, please. Now, is it clear for you? In water vapor, there is water also, there is ice also. Similarly, the sum total of material elements are all contained in pradhana. When the total material elements are manifested by interactions of the three modes of material nature. So the manifestation is called prakriti. Impersonals say that Brahman is without variegatedness and without differentiation. One may say that pradhana is Brahman stage. So this is where the Mayavadis they get stuck. They can go till pradhana only. But actually, Brahman stage is not Pradhan. Pradhan is a distinct from Brahman because Brahman, there is no existence of material modes of nature. Oh, very. So, Pradhana and Brahman, what is the difference? Difference between Pradhana, and Brahman. So, what is the difference between Pradhana and Brahman is the main difference is in Brahman, there is uh, no existence of material modes. There are no existence of modes, but here modes are there. Here now all the it is actually spiritual part. Brahman is spiritual. It is all the spirit souls are there in Brahman. Whereas Pradhana is matter. That is the main difference. Like this is all matter around us, and then spirit soul. Kshetra and Kshetrajna, both are there here. Now the Kshetrajna part is Brahman, Kshetra part is Pradhana. The knower of the activity is the Kshetrajna. Like I know that I exist. Table does not know it exists. How I know I exist? Because there is spirit. So the spirit part is Brahman, whereas the material part is Pradhana. Clear? In actual explanation of Pradhana, however, is given here. When the cause and effect are not clearly manifested, this is when the cause and effect are not clearly manifested. This is Abhyakta. The reactions of the total elements does not take place. That stage of material element is called Pradhana. Pradhana is not the time element because in the time element there are actions and reactions, creations and annihilation. The time did not affect. When the Kala energy enters into it, then Pradhana starts changing. And the Kala is the glance of the Lord. It is also Shambhu. Nor is it Jiva or the marginal potency of living entity or designated condition living entity because the designations of living entities are not eternal. One adjective used in this connection is Nitya, which indicates eternity. Therefore, the condition of metal and nature immediately uh, previous to its manifestation called Pradhana. I'll explain all the things again now. It is very nice, interesting thing. But here it is explained by Prabhupada. Please pay attention. He says that first is, he says Pradhana. Pradhana, Brahman, time, and Jiva. Now he says Pradhana is not Brahman. Why? Because Brahman does not have modes. Now Pradhana is not affected by time because no cause and effect. Brahman does not have modes. Time is the thing that makes cause and effect. Once the time enters into Pradhana, then only it starts functioning. Otherwise, it does not function. Like say, now from the beginning of the class till now, something happened. There is some movement, some changes. Why? Because time happened, na? Say from 7:15 to 8 o'clock, some time happened. So time affected it. There's no time only, then nothing happens. There's no cause, there is no effect. I spoke something, I created some sign vibrations, and I wrote something. So there is a cause and there is an effect. But how the cause and effect came? Because there is time. The pradhan is not time element because the time element, there are actions and reactions, creation and annihilation. That is not there. And in pradhan, there are no jiva also. Because nor it is jiva or marginal potency of living entity or designated condition living entity because the designations of living entities are not eternal. Because pradhana, the one adjective used in this connection is nitya. So pradhana is nitya, but jiva is not there in pradhana because designations are not permanent, not eternal. But Pradhana is eternal. So, first thing is it has modes. Second is because no time means it has no cause and effect. And third is it is not having designations and it is eternal. So these are the three things that is explained. So if we had to see the difference, Brahman is it has living entities. Time means cause and effect. Living entity means designations. No. So Pradhan is none of the three things. That's how Prabhupada is nicely, very systematically explaining it. The aggregate elements, namely the five gross elements, five subtle elements, four internal senses, five senses for gathering knowledge, and five outward organs of actions are known as Pradhana. So here, all these elements only without the effect of time. So they don't do any action. So there are Pancha Mahabhutas, then is Tanmatras, internal sense, Manchit, Buddhi, and Ahankar. And then there is five gathering Karmendriyas, Pranendriyas. They are all counted as Pradhana. So there are 24 elements. You own your Mahat Brahma, the sum total of all living entities. That's what is. So here this is 24 elements. So Chitta, Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara. All these things then they actually come from Chitta only. Chitta is the most subtlest, and then Manas, Buddhi, and Ahankara are manifested from it. Like that. This is the most neutral. We will see when the further shlokas it is explained. We'll go from there. There are five gross elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether. They are the five subtle elements: smell, taste, color, touch, and sound. This you all heard it, so I will not take on this, but I will take another points which are there. The senses for acquiring knowledge and organs for acting. Number 10, namely the auditory senses, the sense of taste, test, tactile and tactile senses, the sense of sight, the sense of smell, action organs for speaking, action organs for working, and those for traveling, generating, and evacuating. That are 10. The internal subtle senses are experienced as having four aspects in shape of mind, intelligence, ego, and contaminated consciousness. Designations between them can be made only by different functions since they represent different characteristics. So now from here onwards, most important part, how the senses are nicely explained. Man, Chitta, Buddhi, and Ahankar. In English, the terms are different. Here, Prabhupada is writing mind, intelligence, ego. But psychological, they use the terms as subconscious mind, unconscious mind, and identity. So the subconscious mind is Chitta. Then there is unconscious mind. This is Manas. And then conscious mind. This is Buddhi and identity. This is false ego. So this is how the terms that are used in the psychology, their understanding. Because this in English, mind intelligence, no, it is here everything is called mind only in that terms. The four internal senses are subtle senses described are defined by different characteristics. When pure consciousness, polluted metal contamination, and identification with body becomes prominent, one is said to be situated under false ego. Consciousness is the function of soul, and therefore behind consciousness is soul. Consciousness polluted by material contamination called ahankara. Now, from here onwards, all these are considered qualified Brahman. The mixing elements, which is known as time, is contained as the 25th element. So 24 are there, 25th is the Time factor. I told no. Pradhana does not have time. Why? There is no cause and effect. Once time enters, then there is cause and effect. According to Vedic version, I will explain about Manchitta Buddhi Ahankar more detail once it comes further. I will not take now. I'll explain more detail what is Chitta, what is unconscious mind, subconscious mind, and what is their characteristics, how they functions. Oh, they'll come. According to Vedic version, there is no existence beyond Brahman. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. This is Chandogya Upanishad. It is stated also in Vishnu Puran that whatever we see in Parasya Brahmana Shakti. Everything is an expansion of the energy of Supreme Absolute Truth Brahman. When Brahman is mixed with three qualities goodness, passion, ignorance, the results are material expansions, which is sometimes called Saguna Brahma, and which consists of these 25 elements in the Nirguna Brahma, where there is no material contamination, or in the spiritual world, the three modes goodness, passion, ignorance are not present. The Nirguna Brahma is found, simply unalloyed goodness prevails. Saguna Brahma is described by the Sankhya system of philosophy as consisting of 25 elements, including time factor, past, present, and future. The Nirguna Brahma and Saguna Brahma. Anyway, their main understanding is okay, there are only 25 elements, finish. After that, nothing. We say no, there is a person also, another element. The influence of Supreme Personality of Godhead felt in time factor, which causes fear of death due to the false ego of the deluded soul who has contacted material energy. This is very, very important understanding. See what Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Kala. Kalosmi Lokakshay Krito. When Arjuna sees Krishna in the universal form, he says, who are you? What is that question? Who are you? This is Krishna only, na? But why Arjuna asked, who are you? Because he saw another form, which is very, very dangerous form. It is devouring everything. And Arjuna's, what is this form? Which I am seeing it is devouring everything. Krishna says, this is the form of time, which I am. The Supreme Personality of God is felt in the time factor. He is only time. For us, why devotees are not affected by time factor is because it is Krishna. We are not affected by time factor, we are affected by Krishna. If time factor comes, it is based on karma. If Krishna factor comes, it is based on devotion. We have an option whether we will be affected by time or we will be affected by Krishna. When we have Krishna Graha, then other Grahas don't affect us. If Acharyas, they are living their body or doing something, it is not because of time factor, which causes fear of death. Prabhupada's name is Abhaya Charana Aravinda. He is fearless. Why? Because Krishna is there. Like we give the example of a cat carrying kittens, cat taking rats. So for kittens, cat is like mother. It is not afraid. But for rat, it is very much afraid. So the time factor which causes the fear of death due to the false ego. For devotees, this false ego is not there only. So where is the question of time affecting them? What is their ego? Real ego. For devotees, it is real ego. Why? They identify themselves as servant of Krishna. They don't identify themselves as the body. As long as we are identifying ourselves strongly with the body, we'll have fear of death. If we are fearful, it is not because of somebody else. It is because of my own false identification. More and more property I have. Why we tell no Nishkinchana? Asya Bhagavad Bhajanon Mukasya. Why we should not have much possessions for devotees not recommended. Janma Ishwara Shuta Sribhir. Because that will make us identify with them very strongly. Tektva Turnam Asesha Mandalapatim. They are Mandalapatis, all the Goswamis. Why they'll have to left everything and go to Vrindavan? Because that is very, very detrimental. The false ego increases. I start identifying, oh, my car is so big, my house is so big, my property is big, my intelligence is so, I am very intelligent, I am very famous, I am very handsome, I am very beautiful, or whatever. Anything that makes us identify with the body, I should not display. If people are successful outside, it's actually a tragedy for them, for the soul. Materially, oh, wow, what a success, what a success. In less time, they become Karodapatis, they become this, they become that. But problem is, such a big house they could make three houses, four houses. Problem is, house is not a problem. If he's identifying, that is a problem. And if we are identifying his property with him, that is also illusion for us. We only become envious. Like there was uh, one small joke, like one person, he is a very rich person. The Sufi saint he goes. Saint means some person who goes, is a beggar actually. He goes to his house and sees that this person is fabulously rich. He goes around and tells, "Arey, this person is enjoying like anything. He's so rich. He's in so much illusion. He's so rich. He's in illusion." Yeah. And then people come and says, this person is talking about you that you are so rich and this. He said, "Oh, now I attain perfection. I got so much money, but I want somebody should be envious of me." Till now, that is 100%. Now I feel I am successful. Somebody is envying me. I feel I am successful. So this is people who are identifying himself with that property is in illusion, and people who are identifying themselves also, like say, "Oh, Proji, see how much hard work he did. He made so much success. How much hard work he did. He made so much success." We should understand it's all prakriti. If time comes, you get, time goes, you lose. It's all time factor, cause and effect. And it is a false ego of the deluded soul who are contacted metal nature. Finished. Formula is so simple, right? Living entities' fear of death is due to false ego of identification with body. Prabhupada also very clear. He does not hide anything. Everyone is afraid of death. Actually, there is no death for the spirit soul, but due to our absorption in identification of body as self, the fear of death develops. This is also stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhayam Ditiyad Abhiniveshatasya. Ditiyad refers to matter, which is beyond spirit. Matter is secondary manifestation of spirit, for matter is a product of from spirit. Just as material element described are caused by the Supreme Lord, he says that therefore the material body is called Ditya, second. But what is primary? One who is absorbed in the second element or second exhibition of spirit is afraid. What we should do? Prabhupada says, if the spirit engages in the activity of devotionalism, we start remembering Krishna, which is very difficult. Bhakti is very difficult internally. To be conscious of Krishna, na? I think how much I am conscious of Krishna in a day. I think it is very difficult because I cannot do anything other than which is pleasing Krishna. It's sometimes so painful. Oh my God, this is also for Krishna. This is also for Krishna. How much I will do for Krishna all day? Something I want to do for myself also. He's completely free from the platform of birth and death. His next position is completely spiritual freedom. Freedom comes now when we follow the rules. We don't understand that. Even I have not realized it. Theoretically, I know. Follow the rules, you are free. We want to control, we want to don't lose freedom. So, in other words, time is okay. We have a nice point here. The fear of death is action of Kala. We discussed this. Krishna is telling, I am Kala. The fear of death is the action of Kala or time factor, where it represents the influence of Supreme Personality of God. In other words, time is destructive. Whatever is created is subjected to destruction and dissolution, which is the action of time. Time is a representative of it, reminds us. So, us also that we must surrender unto the Lord. Lord speaks to every conditioned souls as time. Wow. Prabhupada has such nice point. Lord is speaking. And how he is speaking? In speaks to every condition souls as time. He says in Bhagavad Gita that if someone surrenders unto him, then there is no longer any problem of birth and death. He should therefore accept the time factor as the Supreme Personality of Godhead standing before us. This is the no, this is further explained in the verse. Any questions, comments? We'll take one more verse. My dear mother, O daughter of Swayambhu Manu, the time factor, as I explained in this, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom the creation begins, as a result of agitation of neutral, unmanifested nature. So the time factor, once the time factor comes from whom the creation begins as a result of agitation. It is all neutral, time starts. Very difficult. Even scientists also don't know what is time because it is Supreme Lord. How they can know? They know it only changes things. What does time factor means? Now we'll see what Prabhupada writes on it, then we'll. The unmanifested state of material nature, Pradhana, is being explained. We understood. What Pradhana does not have, it does not have Brahman feature, it is not Brahman also, it is not time also, it is not living entities also. That is clear. Pradhana is only elements. The Lord says that when the unmanifested material nature is agitated by the glance of Supreme Personality of Godhead, we discussed, no? What is the time where it enters? Glance of Supreme Lord. This is actually time. It is also called Shambhu. It begins to manifest itself in different ways. Before this agitation, it remains in a neutral state. Without interaction by the three modes of material nature. In other words, material nature cannot produce any variety of manifestation without the contact of Supreme Personality. This is very nicely explained in Bhagavad Gita. The Supreme Personality of God is the cause of products of material nature. Without his contact, material nature cannot produce anything. The Lord has to intervene. And in Chaitanya Chaitanya also, very subtle example is given in this connection. Although the nipples of goats neck appear to be breast nipples, they does not give. Similarly, material nature appears to material scientists to act and react in a wonderful manner. But in reality, it cannot without the aggregate time. So for scientists, it looks like, oh, everything is connected, everything is going. But they don't understand that because it is all happening because of time factor, who is a representative supreme. When time agitates the material state of material nature, material elements begin to produce varieties of manifestation. Ultimately, it is said that the Supreme Personality of God is the cause of creation. As a woman cannot produce children unless impregnated by man, material nature cannot produce or manifest anything unless it is impregnated with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of time. So, what time does that? It always, what we see is change. Time changes things. Time has motion, it changes, it moves. The time is always changing things. Because change we don't want. Why we don't want change? Because we are eternal. We want everything permanent. How many of you want permanent house? Everybody will raise that. We want permanent house. We want because na sat chit we are sat factor. But time not changes. That's why we cannot be happy in this world. The main reason is what we say this material world is ashashvatam, right? And spiritual world shashvatam. So here the pleasure in this world is chapala sukh. It is always changing, changing, changing. But in the spiritual world, does not change. It is permanent. We want permanent. Because of the time factor only, we are not happy in this world. Every, like no, I give an example. Like you are sitting at your place now. I tell okay, no, sit in the hall. After that, I say no, you sit in the balcony, no courtyard. Then no, you sit in the terrace. Then come down. Then what we will say, Array, let me sit at one place. Don't disturb me. Don't move me from here, there. Same thing with us. We are moving from one body to another body, one body to another body. We'll say, why don't I get any one permanent body? I just want to settle at one place. That is the problem for us. We want to have one place, but time does not allow. It is keeping on moving, keeping on moving. The time factor is, it is agitating, right? Any questions, comments? I'm really sorry. I sent a previous link just now. So there was some miscommunication. Okay. Uh, no questions. We'll end here. Thank you all very much. Tomorrow we'll meet. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।